Recording. Okay, here we go. So, first thing off the top. You're doing it wrong. You're holding your phone like this. Landscape. No more landscape, no more portrait video. Landscape always. Now, I know a lot of phones are now starting to get built so that they have 2 cameras at the top. They're a little bit better at getting like landscape, even though you're holding it like this. Still, the best practice is to hold it in landscape with both of your hands. This was $1,000 or nearabouts, right? I bought this new. This is a Note 8. I paid for the whole thing all at once instead of doing payment plans. It was $1,000. Freaking love this phone. It's a Note 8. Was that 2016? Still good. And so the first thing to do is hold it in landscape with both your hands. Right? You're recording me, right? Recording me. I'm gonna keep talking at you too. So landscape. No more vertical video. 2 hands. Right? Because that thing costs money. All right. So you got that. Landscape, 2 hands. 2 hands. Both hands on. Not 1 hand, 2 hands. Don't drop your phone. I wince every time I see someone drop one of these. And then, at some point, like next Monday, I'm going to give you one of these. Don't drop my cameras. That's like $200. And I will make you pay for it. And because you'll be recording, when you drop it, I know who dropped it. Chris, you're talking. And, you know, you won't get kicked out of school, but you have to buy me another camera. I don't want to have to make you buy me another camera. That really sucks. So, landscape, 2 hands. That won't be much different from how you hold this. Next, when you're getting video, one of the things is you don't want to have your arms free floating. You're a dynamic creature. I'm a dynamic creature, but I'm doing it on purpose right now. I'm gesticulating a lot at you, wildly, probably because I'm Italian, but also because I'm trying to give you something to record. So, as I move around, if you have your arms out, you're going to be bouncy. You don't want that, do you, right? We have all watched online videos. We all have. It's been around for years. It's been around since you were a child. It's been around since I was in college, right? People who record like this, and they record stuff, and you watch it, and you're like, oh, I'm getting car sick just watching this movie, right? It's because they weren't doing this. That's why you hold it like this, and you get your elbows in, right? I'm trying to take the bounce out of it. I'm trying to remove any of that extraneous bounciness that humans are. Remember, you're a bunch of bones made out of calcium. That's metal. You're a bunch of metal bones held together with rubber bands. That's all you are. Plastic bags full of water with an internal structure of metal and rubber bands. You're bouncy. And on top of it, you're kinesiology students. So you inherently are very ADD-esque. You just, you want to touch things, you want to move. You don't want to sit there in front of the computer. You don't want to. You don't like that. That's the character of a kinesiology student. It's a generalization, I understand, but it's generally really true. I've not been proven wrong yet. So, hold it in landscape with both hands on it because you don't want to drop it. You're going to get those elbows in. Right? Now some of you, I started to notice as soon as you got your elbows in, you started doing the right thing. Hold it in landscape. You got your elbows in, and you're turning with your core. Right? You're not shifting around. You're not doing this. You kind of brought those in, and it made you kind of tighten up. So now you're turning with your core. That's great. You want to engage your core muscles because they're those long muscles. The long muscles there, long muscles here, riding along your body. If you're just using the tiny, fine muscles of your hands, you're going to make jerky movements. Rapid and annoying and difficult to look at. You won't be able to collect that information on your camera lens. So that's an issue. You want to turn with your core. Turn with core. Right? And that kind of necessitates you standing pretty still. That's true. Now, you've all got your phones out, and all camera phones that I can remember at this point that took video, pretty much every smartphone. When you look at them, and I go to it, there we go. When you look at them, you have that ability to turn on the grid lines. See those grid lines? Right? You really have to actually fade it. They must have like changed your app, made it less obvious, but you got those grid lines. Turn those on. Turn those on in the settings of your phone, because these grid lines will help you to make sure that whatever you're filming stays in that center 75%. We want to keep everybody that we want to film, anything that we're trying to get recorded on video. You want to stay in that kind of center block. This one's set up for 9. I know some of them can have 16 blocks instead of just 9. That's even better. It doesn't show up on the video, so like it doesn't hurt you to have them on. But it really, really, really helps. And I went through all of the cameras and turned that on these as well. So we want to try and keep whatever our subject is, a person, your dog, your cat, your nephew, whatever. You want to keep them in that center 75, because that's where the phone, the camera, the really nice cameras, that's where their focal area is. That's where whatever you're recording will come in the most crisp and clean and visual. You can see it. That's where it is. And just like your eyeballs, where your focal area is right here. It's in that center 75. Now you've got 2 eyeballs, so they're kind of getting an oval of what you can look at, where things actually come in correctly, regardless of status of glasses and contacts. Still the best area is here, right? Your peripheral kind of sucks. And on cameras and stuff, they are built just like your eyeballs. They're round lenses. They have the same thing your eyes have, where stuff that gets off to the side has this fish eye lens property to it, because of the distortion of the light coming through your eyeballs, coming through the lens. Now your brain and the software on these phones are getting much better at filtering that and kind of making it look flat. Right? We do that naturally. The phone has to be programmed for it. But that doesn't mean it's the best it can be. So we always want to stay within the center 75 of our screen. Always try and capture that. Center 75. That's center 75. Okay, the last tricks. Last couple tricks. Getting good video. It's becoming a tripod. If you're not going to buy a tripod, especially for your phone, probably not going to buy one. Maybe you'll buy a desktop, whatever. But at the same time, you're not going to buy a tripod and carry it around with your phone. You're probably going to use that phone suddenly. Oh, something crazy's happening. Get my phone out, turn it landscape, turn on the grid lines. Keep it in the center 75, elbows in, turn with my core. Right? I might walk, but I'm still turning with my core. Center 75, keeping everybody where I need you. Right? But sometimes we can actually get an objective view. Get back a little bit, so we can capture a scene. When that happens, we want to take as much of ourselves, our body's motion, its kinetics, out of it. So we become a tripod. And the easiest way to do that is to lean against something. So everybody, up against the walls, quick! I'm going to get back here. Over here.
Squeeze in.
Like that. Okay. Put my back against it. Now, there's a trick to it. There's a trick to it. Right? To get as much of your body weight out of this system, where your elbows and your arms and you're moving like that, and your core. We want to try to take as much weight off as possible. So, oftentimes it is best if you get up against the wall, you can take your foot that's against the wall, nice and close. You're on the side, hip in, the other foot out. 3 points of contact. Do it against the other way. And go over here. right? And get my left foot up against the door, get my shoulder in the door, right foot's out. 3 points. Tripod. Right? It's letting me take all my weight out. Go up against the chalk or marker board here. 1 foot forward, 1 foot's back. My butt up against the board. My shoulders are there too. But I've taken all my weight and I'm putting it into the wall. Hopefully I'm not marker on my sweater. Right? But again, right, this allows me to become a tripod. I take all of my body's bounciness, wiggliness, I'm going to put it into the wall. I'm going to let this sit nice and stable. That's a good one. If I can't get up against something, I might go into horse stance. If you've done yoga, I have done yoga. Right? Horse stance is the one where you get your feet under your shoulders, that far apart. You bend your knees slightly. You engage your quads. Right? And you sit back a little bit. Now, not full horse stance or like that, but like just a little bit of horse stance. Again, I'm using large muscles so they're not wiggly. Because if I lock my knees, I bounce. We all do. You might feel fine, but like you're very bouncy up and down when you lock your knees. You get into horse stance, you're using the shock absorption of your long muscles. Your glutes, quads, hold your core, your elbows are in, keeps you nice and taut, allows you to turn. But what if you're in a classroom and you've got a desk? Oh, great. Let's use the desk. Quick, get back to your desk. Go. Yeah, you're getting it. Right. So like go for broke, right? So here I am. I might put my elbows on. I might adjust my chair a little bit. There we go. Right? But then I get my sternum into it too. Slouch into it. Go ahead. It may not be completely comfortable. But remember, you're trying to take all of your body motion out of you, put it into the environment so that the camera can remain stable. Nice and stable. And ever since phones with video cameras came on the market, when I was in grad school and good ones finally started doing that with the iPhone, right? I was like, oh my God, why would I ever take notes by hand anymore? And do this, just record it. I can get the things that the professor said directly. You know, that kind of thing. So I think that this is the best way to take notes, what you're doing right now. Best way. Especially if the teacher says, well, I said that in class, and you go, playback. No, you didn't. Don't do that, we'll fail you. Teachers don't like being called, nobody likes being called out on. Okay, and there's two last little tips that you've got to be aware of. Become the tripod. Last two tips right here are light and sound. Light and sound. Now, with light, this light is perfect. These ones, the baffles that are above you, they're diffuse. I mean, look around, just look with your eyeballs. There's like no hard shadows, are there? Even under the desk, it's not like darkness. It's kind of a little bit dimmer, that's all. And my own shadow is very diffuse, barely there. Right, that's perfect. Most video and photography is done in this mode because it works the best. However, we also find things like going outside. And when you do that, this is the kind of light that you get. This thing. There's the eye of God up there blaring down at you with very directional light. Right? Just doing that. Right? Big, strong, dark shadows. Then your subjects are all washed out because they're so bright, but this is behind them is so dark. Right? That screws with your phone. That will screw with these cameras for sure. So that's another consideration. Now, you're doing the right thing right now with it because that bright point light source is behind you. You never want to be facing into it. You never want to face into the sun with your phone or a camera, because it'll completely destroy the image. Just blare it away. Nothing left of it. You always want to try and be as diffuse as possible. This is why if you ever watch shows or whatever, and they do an outside scene, it's always on an overcast day. Never on a really sunny day. Unless that's the point. They're trying to make the point. It's bright and hot out here. They do it on a sunny day. Otherwise, bless them. Otherwise, they do it on a cloudy day because it makes the light diffuse. Okay, that's light for you. Now finally, sound. Now with these cameras, these digital cameras, the microphone is sort of pointing the same direction as the lens is. It's usually right on top of it, in fact. So generally speaking, it's pretty good. It's going to get what's over there, wherever you're pointing the camera. However, with your phone, the microphone's just the microphone. It's the one that you use when you're talking, right? So it's really designed to pick up your breath. So that's always an issue too. When you're using a camera, you might have more control over where the sound is coming from, but you do need to know it's going to get in there, and it can really screw with you. It can really screw with how you're recording stuff. With your phone, you've got to be careful and try and keep it away from your face. Or even, like, I know that this is where the microphone is on my phone. I might put my finger over it when I'm recording. And you know, I got kids, right? I got an 8-year-old and a 9-year-old who's about turned 10,000 years old. And like, this phone is full of videos of them. And when I first started doing it, it was like, oh, I get my kids. And then I was like, wait a second. I started teaching this class and researching and getting my notes together. And like, okay, I'll start recording it this way. Right? And then I started doing this thing where I started putting my finger over it because I'm loud. I breathe heavy. I'm fat. I've got asthma. So that was picking up more than anything else. And children are loud enough. They shriek about everything. So I can cover it up. They wouldn't hear me. So that might be a thing you do too. It might just be part of how you do it. I'm not sure where the microphone is specifically on everybody's phone. It's not always in the same spot. Though I think a generation of iPhones, within one generation of it, it's always in the same spot. With Samsung and other phones, there might be different spots depending on which particular version of it is. It's like that. Okay. So this is how to get good video on a mobile device. 3,